What up? What up?
Hey,
Yo, I thought I was we were gonna tune in. You're gonna have your sunglasses on. Yo, it's getting late.
oh yeah, I should put them on, eh?
I was like, yo, I gotta have my sunglasses on at night.
Oh yeah, man. I see you got you're looking smooth, smooth with the sunglasses, man.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely feeling that track, man. I was like, fucking, getting my fucking
Get your
my dance,
twerking going on.
my dance moves on.
Yeah, you're trying to getting your twerking getting going on.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely I'll twerk at home when I'm cleaning the house, and I'm like I usually don't twerk out in public because I don't want these girls to get jealous of my moves, right?
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah. I know you could show up the when you start doing your twerking. Yeah, these girls would be like, "Can you show me how to do that?"
For sure, for sure, and like that leads to a great time.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, definitely. So how'd that song come about? The sunglasses at night.
Um, Back in 2009 or 2010, I was there's an artist here in Canada. You probably have heard of her. I'm sure you have, named Divine Brown. Have you heard of Divine Brown?
Yeah, yeah,
So she came up with a single called "Sunglasses," and she sampled the Corey Hart's version. So I heard it and I was like, man, I should put out a version, do a remake of the original, and try to do like a battle of the sunglasses from two artists, two black artists from Canada.
right.
And so I started working on it back then, and then after a while, I put it aside, and then I picked it up again, and I thought, you know what, let me just put it out there and see what kind of response I did. Then I did a soft release of it, and it didn't really do all that well when I first initially put it out. But
Yeah,
then I pulled back on it again. Then I just really thought I'll put it out again this summer, and the response has been mostly positive for what I've done. So I'm really grateful.
awesome, awesome. Yo, I'm trying to see you, so
Oh,
I'm
look,
gonna
you
take
even
these
just
off
took
for
the
now.
glasses off like, oh, I like that, man. You just,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah, man,
styling on them. Uh,
that's
but
cool, man.
I definitely, you're definitely a dope singer. So I know there's gonna be a lot of ladies tuned in. So I want them to see my eyes. But
Okay.
yeah. So yeah. So you're from Toronto. You started in the scene. About like when did you start originally making music?
I started in the early 90s. I started recording. I started my recording career um, in 1992, and then officially in 1994. I started writing songs, working with producers in Toronto, and then I got signed to a production company, and then from the production company it turned into a recording contract. I recorded my first album in the early 90s, mid 90s, and then put it out, and then that album, my first album, did really, really well. Went on to win a lot of awards, like the Juno Award here in Canada.
Definitely Juno Award
Yeah,
winner right here.
yeah, man.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Like being from Canada and the Junos, it's a huge thing and it's a great accomplishment. How'd that feel when you walked away with the Juno?
Man, it was great. I still think about, I still remember the date, March 9th, 1997, and that was the same night of the untimely
Yeah,
death and passing of Biggie, Notorious
yeah,
B.I.G. So it was, one hand, it was like spectacular, and then to find out the same day that Biggie was shot and murdered, the same night in L.A.
oh
So
shit.
next March 9th coming, I'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of the album, and I'm gonna perform a concert, and I'm gonna see if I could perform a couple of Biggie songs in my show to commemorate his passing and my album on the same
Definitely,
day. Hold on. Yeah,
definitely. That was a big blow to hip hop, to music in general. Like Biggie Smalls, one of the
yeah, it
greatest to ever
was.
do it.
It was.
Um, it's kind of like man, like it's kind of like, it's like for you, it's like, oh, you had this great moment in your career, and then like, but it's attached to like that. That's a sad thing. But
Yeah.
but like it for us, like prior to doing this, prior to doing the interviews, I was doing music myself, and like, man, to
Well, you
win in
were.
like what's that?
What were you doing in the music industry?
I was rapping, I was putting out songs, I was doing shows. Um,
Nice.
and stuff like that. So like yeah, like being an artist before this, I know like the amount of work that goes into like, man, like to win a Juno is like, woo. You gotta have all your cards right. You gotta get all your work done, and then you gotta have depend on a little bit of luck, to do that too. Um, and
Yep.
like so, but like I was checking up on you, and like it was a long time from like when you put out that album. You put out some singles after that, but you didn't put out another album until uh what was it, 2012?
Yeah, I put out my second album called The Compilation in 2012. I'd put out a couple of singles before then. Um, and I was going to put out an album, but I wasn't ready to put out an album, and I was still learning about the music business. The music industry had changed, the business had changed, because it went from people actually buying records to now downloading records. And at the time, Napster was huge at the time, and people were file sharing, and it was just a huge transition. And I was going through a lot of changes, major changes in my personal life. And so I just wasn't ready to put out a full album yet. And I was, to be honest with you, I was a little scared because I had the support of a record label, independent, and then I got picked up by a major. So after some time, I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it out there and, let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to do the best I can, doing it by myself, being independent, and still so much to learn. But I'm really grateful that I did put out an album, and I'm working on putting out my third that come out hopefully in the spring of 2022.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's a lot of pressure to like when you put out something and it does well, and like it's
Yeah,
your first like a major release, and then like I could imagine like the pressure of like the record labels, like even in your friends, your family are like, oh man, this next one is like people expect it to be like, and like it's a lot of pressure, and like when things are changing up, it's
yeah.
like yeah, I definitely see that. But yeah, I always say like the people that take breaks and then they come back, like, man, like life happens with a lot of us, but like
True.
the people that really love this music and really have it in their soul,
Yeah.
always come back. Always come back, and I'm glad you came back because
Thank
man,
you.
you're dope. I first heard
Thank
about
you.
you. I think we talked about we talked after I did the video for Chris Jackson. And we were talking about doing a video. How did you find out about him and stuff like that? Because he's been on the show quite a few times.
So I've known Chris since the mid 90s, or sorry, wrong, since the early 2000s. And actually, Chris directed a video for me for one of my singles on my
Okay.
second album. My Forever For You Soul Mix single, he directed for me. We've been talking for years about collaborating. So I think that's going to happen. I'm hoping now that we're going to be able to finally collaborate. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a
Yeah.
very talented man, young man, and great voice, great guy, good heart. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to us collaborating together. Good guy, very talented.
Definitely. Definitely. He was one of the like Like when I first started the show, like he was one of the first artists that I had on here.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
So like you like like I hear like you mentioned a lot of Canadian stuff. Do you always try to like work with like Canadian artists, or do you kind of like branch out like worldwide, or do you kind of like
I, I'll I'll work with
when
any and
you look at like
everybody.
okay,
You know, whether from Canada, whether yeah, I'd even work with an artist. Yeah, anywhere. I don't care where. And I love music, and you know, I'm an R&B soul based jazz, gospel, and reggae singer, mainly R&B and soul, and gospel too. I gotta always, because gospel is my roots. Um, but you know, if an artist from Russia reached out to me, you know, or you know,
yeah,
China, Japan, wherever they're from, you know, I'm so open to collaborating with any and everybody. Yeah, you
so
know, I wouldn't sing. It would be kind of difficult for me to sing on like a heavy metal or grunge song, because I'm like, how am I going to do that? But I could do that, you know, I could pretend, because God knows what the hell are they saying when they singing. So,
yeah.
but yeah, but right now the majority of the artists that I've collaborated with have been in Canada. Yeah.
Okay,
I have yet
okay.
to work with I've I have yet to work with an artist from outside of Canada. Yeah.
So like yeah, like I want to know like what was like what was the Toronto music scene like in the '90s like because like
Oh man, it was
it's like it's a whole different thing now like because like Toronto's popping now all over and uh Drake has really kind of like opened up a lot of doors for Canada and stuff like that. But
yes, he has. Um
what was the Toronto scene like in the '90s?
um the Toronto scene, I can't speak for the whole scene, but in terms of R&B soul, it was I think the 90s opened the door for artists like Drake and The Weeknd and Alyssa Cara. Because we're going back to the 90s. We're talking Julie Black. We're talking
Yeah.
Glenn Lewis. We're talking Deborah Cox. We're talking Simone Denny. We're talking Carlos Morgan. We're talking Chris Rouse, Trevor Annan. We're talking groups like In Essence. Out of In Essence, we have Drew Grange and Sean Jones. We're talking Divine Brown, Wade O'Brown. There were so many talented artists in the 90s. And then those artists, the names artists I just named, we are on the shoulders of artists from the 80s that you don't hear of. Like you may not hear of Errol Starr or Billy Newton Davis, or you have George St. Kitts, R.B. Mann, Liberty Silver, Vivian Williams. There's just so many. Um, but yeah, back in the 90s, it was when the scene started to open up, right? So when Drake came out, and again, he went to the States, and that was a smart thing. And I always say I should have stayed in the States myself instead of coming back here. But you know, that's the choice I made. That's the decision that I made, to stay in Canada. However, Drake was, you know, coming up, you know, as a young kid, listening to artists in hip hop like Cardinal Official, Socrates, Choclair,
Yeah.
oh, who else? Maestro was still around.
Yeah.
The Circle, which include the Rascals from out west.
Rascals, yeah.
Right? There are so many great artists in hip
Yeah.
hop and R&B
Trust, I
that
had him on the show.
were right. So you know, even Justin Bieber, although he was a baby maybe at the time, I think it was probably a, you know,
Yeah.
less than 10 years old back in the 90s. But you know what? That's the thing I always say to artists, especially artists, black artists or artists performing R&B, hip hop, R&B, soul, and hip hop coming out of Canada, is to look back at the artists who laid the foundation
Definitely.
for the artists that are coming out now, right? So I hear Drake always shouting out Toronto, right?
Mhm.
I don't hear much about The Weeknd or Lisa Cara and a lot of artists that are coming out now that they may shout out Canada or they may shout out Toronto. But me personally, yeah, I'll say, yo, big up to Drake. But Drake wouldn't have got to where he is if the foundation wasn't built back in the 90s by the Choclairs and the Cardinal Officials and the Socrates or the Rascals or the Group Their Circles, the hip hop, and Michie Me and Maestro on the hip hop side. Then you got on the R&B side, you got Deborah Cox, Glenn Lewis, Carlos Morgan, Simone Denny, you know,
Yeah.
so many.
It's definitely important to to look back on like the people that came before you. Like me, like when I started doing these interviews, when I was rapping, I started watching a lot of interviews, and that's what kind of led me to this. So I was watching like the Master T's,
Right.
the Nardwar.
Right.
I was watching those guys, and I was learning from those guys.
Right.
And it's important to like go back and and also the States people. I was watching Angie Martinez videos. I was watching Sway.
Right.
I was watching all those people. So I always stress that man, for anybody that gets into like any of these forms of entertainment, it's always good to look back and because even I even found my own style through that. I took a little bit from this person, took a little bit from this person. I like how this person did this. I like how I don't like how this person did this, and kind of took things and kind of like built my own kind of thing. And it's definitely the history. It definitely needs to be if you're gonna have if you were gonna set apart in history, if people are gonna look back and remember you.
Right.
You should study your history as well.
Exactly. Exactly. But for me, because like in June, I graduated in my master. I went to university, and I graduated with a master's degree in community music. And,
Awesome.
And what I was specializing is addressing how contemporary hip hop, contemporary commercial hip hop, affects and impacts the behavior and attitude of youth. And there are 4 themes in contemporary hip hop that I address, and that's sexism, racism, misogyny, and violence, right? But the other aspect of what my thesis and research that I'm doing is on Black music history in Canada, because we all know about music history in the United States. We all know about, going back to the 40s, the 50s, and all that, right? And whether it's R&B, soul, rock, jazz, the American music history is established in, it's like human history, right?
Right. Exactly.
But a lot of people in Canada, we don't know Canadian music history. We don't know Canadian Black music history, right?
Right.
So I didn't know that there was country music in Canada going back to the late 1800s, right? And then, and when you do hear of music history in Canada, it's always based on artists that are white, right? Yeah. Always, and no matter what genre of music. So again, my focus is on highlighting Black music history. So again, we talk about Drake, and we talk about Weeknd, and we talk about Alyssa Cara, and there are others that I don't know their names of right now. But we don't talk a lot about a lot of the unsung heroes coming out of Canada in Black music, going back to the 60s. A lot of people don't know who Crack of Dawn is. A lot of people don't know who Glenn Ricketts is. Who is Glenn Lewis's dad? Who Glenn Ricketts is, like, he was known as the quote unquote Canadian, the Canadian version of Stevie Wonder, right? A lot of people don't know. A lot of people may have heard of Salome Bay, right?
Yeah.
God bless the dead, rest in peace. But if you name, but you could name, if I were to go out on the street right now and say to 10 people, do you know who Salome Bay is? They would know, but they know who Gordon Lightfoot is, and they would know who Anne Marie is, right? So for me, my passion is, and thank you for asking the question about what the scene was in the 90s, because a lot of people don't know who Glenn Lewis is. A lot of people don't know who Deborah Cox is. Deborah Cox had one of the biggest, highest selling records of all time. She beat out, I think her song beat Elvis Presley's, with the song called Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. It was #1. It was #1 on the charts longer than Elvis Presley was, one of Elvis Presley's songs. So again, but a lot of people don't know that history in Black music history coming out of Canada. So, you know, I'm very passionate about it and talking about the scene and how the scene was germinated and built and rooted. And so artists that came out afterward, I hope they will think back and say, yo, I came out of T-Dot, yo, Maestro, Michie Me, and, you know, K-Force, and Thrust, and Rumble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
I remember when I was younger and I have the name Glenn, and like I didn't know anybody named Glenn. And then when I was watching Much Music one day, I was like, Glenn Lewis. I'm like, oh, they're like somebody else named Glenn. So like I gravitated to that, and I was like, I checked out some of his stuff, and I was like, oh, he's pretty dope. He's pretty dope.
Yeah. So man, Glenn Lewis, man, like I'm telling you, man, that brother, that man, like he sang on my first album. We've sung together many, many, many times, him and I, when he was first starting out. We used to sing together. We used to go to the mall and we used to walk through Eaton Center and sing together, stop the girls, and we would serenade him. He'd come to my gigs and perform. We'd be on stage. Right, when I was recording my first album, he came and he sang backgrounds on three of my songs. The one that I won the Much Music Video Award for, he's singing this chorus on Give It To You. You hear his voice on it. And rightfully so, he went on to have a successful career. And so, you know, and then Divine Brown's on my first album as well. And so I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to know and work with and have friendships with these artists that I feel like I'm a part of the class, right? You know, the one guy that, again, I mentioned his name earlier, name is Trevor Annan. He was, in my opinion, he was the most successful Black Canadian country singer. He goes by Trevor Doucette. And I'm going to encourage everybody out there to check out Trevor Doucette, Doucette. Like, if not the most, if not one of, he's the most successful Black Canadian country artist coming out of Canada. But a lot of people don't know who Trevor Doucette is, right? So I'm going to encourage people to do their study, right? Good guy, love the guy, great heart, and massively intelligent, and you know, man. So yeah,
Sure.
People need to know who our artists over here in Canada are. Who we are here.
Definitely, we're talking about the history of Canadian music, and like I remember being young, and like the only and this is before you could Google stuff and all that stuff. Like the only thing I was learning about Canadian music was from Much Music. What was what was Much Music like? I'm going to do stuff at Much Music. Like, how was that? How was it like? Yeah, like going in there, doing the interviews there, and kind of having your videos play on there.
Much Music, again, Much Music was great back then too. Man,
Yeah.
like, yeah, when it was, you know, Master T, he gave me one of my very first opportunities. He really helped put me on, right? I remember one day I'm walking downtown. I was with someone, I can't remember who I was with, and I walked by the window and I'm singing at the window and he calls me in off the street and I'm on TV with Master T and I'm getting crazy. And then when I put my album out, he interviewed me after I won the Much Music Video Award. He was very instrumental in the success of my career for when I first started out. So, you know, big up to Master T. Yeah, big up to him. And Michael Williams. Do you remember Michael Williams from the 80s? He was before Master T.
Michael Williams?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. No.
He was in the mid 80s to early 90s.
Okay.
He was the I think the only black. It was him and Monica Dior.
Okay.
That were the only non-white that I remember seeing on Much Music or City TV. Monica Dior used to host. What was the name of that show? Friday night show. It was huge. It's slipping my mind right now. But yeah, Michael Williams was the guy. And then after Michael came Master T. So yeah, again, these are very important people in Canadian broadcasting history from the black perspective. Electric Circus, yeah. Monica, yeah, was.
Oh, Electric Circus. Yeah.
Remember about Electric Circus?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Electric Circus, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was on that show, and I was on there with 3 kids that were my dancers. 2 boys were 13, and the dancer was 15 at the time. And Monica Dior was like, "Oh, you're like Bobby Brown." Oh yeah. Somebody wrote here. Yeah, Shahai. Hey, Shahai. Oh, Shahai Taruko. Got to give her a shout out. She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. She's another artist that people should know about. Is Shahai Taruko. Incredible.
Okay.
Incredible.
Definitely. I'm gonna go back through this interview. I'm gonna write down all these names because like I want to do the research and I want to get people, like these people on the show
Yes.
because I love bringing out like the old stories of how when people first got into music and and just hearing the passion because I remember like how music was for me like when I first started getting into music, like man, it's like a magical thing. It's like it really changes things around. And you're saying like earlier about the different aspects of music we were talking about like you're saying like the violence, the over sexual stuff but for me like when I listened to my very first project that I ever put out. I didn't really put it out much. Like it was burning CDs and it was a local thing. It was in 2003. But like when I listened to that, I was a very angry kid. But but like that right there, thinking back on it, it's like I'm glad I did that. Like because like that anger could have been I could have been out doing stupid shit.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I could have been out doing stupid shit, but I was at home. Like making music and I was getting that anger out through music. So like how do you feel about like for me like when I was writing songs and like I'd be going through something and like I would kind of like write like a depressing song like for some people it kind of like it helps them get the stuff out. For me,
yes.
For me it kind of kept it with me. And when I started making more fun music. I made my whole life more fun.
Yes.
How is it for you? Is it like when you write something, is it like therapy, get it out, or does it stick with you more?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
I write songs that comes from me and my experiences, but I always, as I'm writing the song, my hope and goal is that those who hear the song, it will resonate with them. They can relate to it. To take the song I have out called "Have a Little Faith." I wrote that song with two incredible songwriters, Northeastern and Roseanne Baker Thornley. They're a songwriting duo. They're individual songwriters, but as a team, they're called RBTNE. And back in 2016 or 16, I knew North from years ago, because when I had my first, after I released my first album, I had put together a management team and a management company, excuse me. And my business partner at the time, she was managing North, who was a part of a rock group out of Ottawa. So when I was ready, when I was starting to look for songs, wanted to write songs, like everybody knows me to be an R&B soul singer-songwriter, but I wanted to, as I said before, I love all genres of music, or most genres of music, let me say that. And I wanted to write a song that had some R&B soul to it, but I wanted something that had a little bit more country or had more singer-songwriter elements to it. So again, I reached out to North. North told me about his writing partner named Roseanne. We got together. I told him of an experience that I was going through, or my life experience, but a very recent experience that had a very difficult and traumatic effect on my life the previous 2.5, 3 years. And we started talking about my faith and belief in God. And I had gone to them with a different song idea, but as we started to write and the words started to formulate, it turned into a song about having faith. And whatever one's faith or whatever one's belief is, or whatever they believe in, whatever quote unquote higher power they believe in, that or if they don't, they just believe in themselves, to use that belief of whatever their higher power is, whatever they turn to for encouragement, to use that as faith to get them through the difficult times in life. And we all face difficult, hard times in life. And, we hear of, the unfortunate passing of people who life becomes so difficult that they don't want to take it anymore and they check out.
Right.
And there's no judgment, because, we know mental health is a huge thing right now. And we've been in a pandemic for going on for 2 years, and everything that, the pandemic really opened up to see how we are all so much alike, right? It affected us no matter what our race, our beliefs, our gender, our work, adults, children, all of us, we're all impacted. And so we had to use our faith to really help us get us through those difficult times. So again, Have a Little Faith for me is about myself. But when I put it out there and people heard the song and heard the lyrics and they watched the video, it was like, man, this song really I find it so encouraging. And that for me is the biggest success, is that I can write songs for people. I can write songs and people hear them and it's like, thank you for that, Carlos. That helped me through. Your words helped me through this difficult time. And anytime I start to feel low, I turn to that song or turn to whatever song. And I do that. There are artists that I listen to that, for me, helps me through difficult times. Luther Vandross is one, Stevie Wonder is one, Babyface is another, Marvin Gaye, Prince, Michael Jackson, Charlie Wilson, a lot of gospel artists I listen to for encouragement through dark times. I'm a Bible believer, so you know, when I listen to songs that you know that infuse scripture, that scripture for encouragement, words of encouragement using the scriptures. I listen to songs like that. So that inspires me to want to do the same for others, to write songs that people can feel good about, feel,
Definitely.
you know, I write love songs, you know.
For me, like I'm more of a hip hop head. So
Yeah,
but there's certain artists that I'll go to, like they'll kind of like help me kind of bring me out of my funk, like
like who?
Scarface,
Yeah,
DMX,
yeah,
Tupac, like
yeah,
those three particular they have songs that kind of like will just kind of like remind me like yo like it's not so bad, you know, like.
exactly. Exactly. I was teaching a class yesterday at the university I graduated from, and again, every time I listen to "Keep Your Head Up" by Pac, it's
Mm,
like
yeah,
especially what the words that says. Um, I can remember back something when Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. I'm like, man, or listen to Queen Latifah's "UNITY,"
yeah,
you know, or I listen to, you know, like "Fight the Power" by Public Enemy, and just Chuck D's voice comes through, like, you know, or when DMX "Get at Me, Dog" is like, yo, man, it's
yeah.
like,
Slippin's like one of man
oh
like
man, that track, man, man, oh man, "Slippin'" is another great track. You know, "Lord Send Me a Sign."
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? All these like, and that's why hip hop today, the majority of hip hop, commercial contemporary hip hop that I listen to today, they can't touch artists. None of them will ever match, in my opinion, who DMX was. DMX had a demon. He had his demons, right?
right, yeah,
He struggled, but
exactly,
man, but he was a hard. He had soul, man. He felt a lot, and he had a hard life. He had a hard childhood, right? And I think that is what shaped him. But a lot of that, but he carried a lot of pain as well. But that pain also fed and helped him write these incredible songs, right? And that's what a lot of artists have done. Donny Hathaway, another one. He wrote and recorded like some of the best songs. Like when I hear his version of "A Song for You" and what his live version of it, man, there's so
yeah,
yeah, man, like you, like again, a lot of hip hop, like again, like back in the day, I'm during the early '90s, after the LA riots went down,
yeah.
after the Rodney King beating and the trial, and the cops got acquitted, and then there were riots all over, and the LA riots happened, and there were riots here in Toronto, and I was there, but
Yeah.
man, I was like, fight the power, and oh, it was like, oh,
And
you know what I mean?
NWA
Oh man, NW, oh
was
man, like FTP by NWA, oh, Easy E, Ice Cube, the Death Certificate album by Ice Cube, in
oh
my
yeah,
opinion, hands
classic.
down, is one of the best.
Yep.
It's in my top. It's in my top 5.
Yeah.
The Death Certificate album by Ice Cube, top 5 greatest albums of all time. Hip hop, not just hip hop, just across the board.
You bring that up I know when a lot of people start making music, like for me, when I first started making I was a huge Ice Cube fan, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
I was saying how like with the interviews, I would take little pieces from this person, take little pieces for this. Like my very first flows were very Ice Cube ish,
yeah,
and then I started listening to more people, and I kind of like developed my own style. But like I think a lot of like people when they start making music, they like kind of like emulate one person at first. For me,
Yeah.
like the flows and like kind of stuff were like very cube like. When you first started making music, like was there anybody like in particular that was like that you're like, okay, I'm kind of sounding, I'm kind of emulating this person a little bit too much. Maybe I should try to like um twist up my stuff. Was there anybody like in particular like you like when like that first like heavy influence?
Yeah. It was a combination between Stevie, Luther, and Michael.
Okay.
But the thing is, I wanted to sound like I wanted to sound like Luther Vandross. I actually met him and sang for him, and we had a conversation. He and I had a conversation. He came to Toronto during his Any Love tour in 1990, and he played at a place called the O'Keefe Center, which is a different name now. It's right downtown at Front and Yonge Streets. And after the show, after his concert, he came to the Blue Note, and I was the lead singer for the house band at the time. So I walked in the door, and the manager at the time, his name is John Chetty, great man. He pulls me aside and said, "You're singing tonight. Luther is coming. Get ready." I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Oh my God, right? So I'm on stage, and Luther walks in with two of his background singers. So I'm on stage, right? And I'm like, oh my God, Luther Vandross is here. So then I performed his cover version of a classic, timeless R&B love song called Love Won't Let Me Wait, originally done by Major Harris. And sang it. I come off the stage, I'm pacing I'm pacing. Luther Vandross walks right by me. I didn't even see him. He taps me on the shoulder and says, "Come here." We go outside and we talk for 5 minutes. And the streets were packed. Oh my God, Luther, oh my God, Luther. But Luther and I are talking. And I remember him saying to me,
"Oh man,
this is one of the most profound periods, not only of my career, but of my life. When Luther said to me, "You remind me of me when you started out, and you're going to go far in this business." That's what he said to me. And I was 21. I was 21 years old. And so Luther Vandross, God rest the dead. I actually had a dream about him last night. I dreamt about him last night. I can't
that's
believe
like that right there is a lot of pressure. Like, man, like that's probably always been in your head. Like, man, like Luther said I was gonna be like, you know.
But well, it wasn't pressure. It was just inspiration to know that someone and huge inspiration, because someone like Luther, who still it's been 10 years. I'm sorry, he died in 2005. It's been 16 years since he's been gone. Yeah. But his voice and his music, again, like so many others,
timeless,
will live on for long after we're gone. His music will live on long after we're gone. But man, to get that kind of encouragement from someone like him, so even now, when I sing now or right now, there is still in the back of my mind to bring my vocal influence and vocal styling of Luther Vandross. But I'm also a singer who I love doing riffs and runs, and I love to vocal phrase. So again, there's the Stevie side, there's the Tank side, there's the Stokely side, there's the Charlie Wilson side.
How was the energy after you said that? And like you're probably there for the night, and like the second you actually got alone, by yourself, how was that? You just like go like this, and were you like kind of like just hyped or what? Like
I was just like I was in shock. I was in disbelief. Yeah. I'm like, my God, Luther Vandross talked to me, and
Yeah.
Still, even sometimes, even now, like 30 years later, that was 30 years ago. And it's like that still has a profound effect on me to know that I had the opportunity to talk to one of the greatest vocalists of all times. He was just recently, I just heard, he was recently named one of the in the top 100 vocalists of greatest singers of all time, I think in either Rolling Stone or Time magazine. This was this year, Luther
Yeah.
Vandross is one of the is recognized as one of the top 100 singers of all best singers of all time. So, and rightfully so, rightfully so.
Yeah, and like right now, like a big thing for people bringing back the nostalgia, people like playing their whole catalog and kind of getting like the verses right now, the verses battles. Have you watched any of those?
I've watched a few. I've not watched many. I heard. I just saw that that KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane are doing one. I want to see that one.
Yeah,
I love Big Daddy Kane,
yeah,
man. I love him,
yeah.
man. I saw briefly the one.
You have like for me, I'm a big fan of both of them. I think personally,
Me too.
I've listened to KRS-One a little bit more. Do you have a pick? Like for me, I'm gonna give the edge to KRS-One in my opinion in that one. Do you have a
Well,
pick?
I think in terms of hits, Big Daddy Kane. But in terms of depth, I go with KRS-One.
Okay.
Right? Because KRS-One is, to me, again,
They're both
one of
great,
the
but
greatest MCs of all times.
yeah.
He's in my top 10 in terms of hip hop rap artists. He's in my top 10 because not just his, like him and Chuck D, to me, when they spit, their voices, to me, it's like kind of listening to Malcolm X. Like Malcolm X, when he talked,
Yeah.
and his tone, but Chuck D and KRS-One were like the teachers and the preachers of hip hop.
Right.
Like between Big Daddy Kane, the Native Tongues, which included Tribe Called Quest,
De La
Jungle
Soul.
Brothers, Queen Latifah, De La Soul. Then you had NWA. There were certain hip hop artists that, for me, I learned more about Black history and Black pride and Black power and Black excellence listening to KRS-One. And so, because his lyrics were always like, man, where's my textbook? How come I don't see these? You remember, there was another group called X-Clan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So X-Clan and KRS-One were like, I'm going to school, right? Now, but if I wanted to be, and I wasn't that kind of guy in hip hop where I was like, yo. But I used to break dance and I would,
Yeah.
I used to nod my head and know the lyrics to the. But when it came to like flow and rap and style and catchphrases and cadence and things like that, for me, Big Daddy Kane was like, and then he could dance too. Right?
Yeah.
So, so for
Yeah.
me, so when it comes to depth and knowledge, I'm going with KRS. But when
Okay.
it comes to like,
Yeah.
just, like he had, Big Daddy Kane had a song called, I think called Chocolate Lover or something like that back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And you know who else we can't front on? We cannot forget Rakim.
Rakim, yeah.
We can't forget Rakim, man. Like, he's the guy.
He's personally in my top 5.
Man, mine
Uh,
too. Like,
like Rakim, man, like phenomenal. Like but one of the reasons I brought up verses because like you've been around for a long time. You put out a lot of stuff. In a versus type battle, like on stage, who do you? We named a lot of artists so far. Who do you think would be a good matchup for you in a
good
versus?
matchup for me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any hits like, but
So
if I were to ask to be matched up to someone, it would be, I would ask to do a versus with, the first person that comes to mind is Johnny Gill.
Okay.
Johnny Gill. If it were a Canadian artist, an artist from Canada, I would ask to be matched up with Glenn Lewis.
Yo, that'd be fire.
Yeah, I would ask to do a versus with Glenn Lewis.
That'd be dope.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? That's something that should be done. That there is a versus in Canada. Of course, it may not get the kind of hype and noise,
right,
and notoriety and publicity that American artists get, but
right.
again, it would be to highlight what artists in Canada, and again, it's for me specifically, Black artists in Canada have contributed to music in Canada, music in this country. That is something that, and I made a decision today, and I'm going to say this. I've made a decision because I am now getting into studying Indigenous history.
Awesome.
And I'm taking a course. I started a course yesterday, an online course, and I'm going to encourage everybody out there who's listening. There's a free online course that the University of Alberta is doing on Indigenous history. Just go to Google, type in University of Alberta, type in University of Alberta Indigenous course. It's free. I'm paying. There's a free one, and there's one where you could earn a certificate at the end of the course. I'm going for the certificate because I want to have a certificate to say I studied Indigenous history. And I made a vow that I will do my best not to pronounce the word Canada, because the name for this country is not Canada, it's Kanata. That is the indigenous, that is the name of this country. I am going to start making the decision to not say the name of the colonial, racist, white supremacist, genocidal murderers that murdered the original people of this country, and call it their country, because this country is not white man's country. This is indigenous country, and it is called Kanata. So to say this, I'm hoping that there can be a versus for Black artists in Kanata to highlight what Black artists in Kanata, or Kanata, K-A-N-A-T-A, not C-A-N-A-D-A, K-A-N-A-T-A, to highlight indigenous and Black music in Kanata. Fuck Canada. I said it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like me, I'm half I'm half native.
Praise, brother. Praise to
white.
you, brother.
And
Praise to you, brother.
yeah, and like man, like definitely like I'm definitely proud of like my mom. She's full native, and like I'm proud of all the stuff that like she's been through and made it through, and still a strong woman. My grandma, like man, like we got like a very strong family that made it through a lot of shit, because like man, like well, like I want to lighten the mood a little bit, and I want to talk about what are your go-to, like after a show, what is the go-to food for you?
Food? Go-to food. Well, I've got to change my eating habits and my diet because I recently got word from my doctor that my health is not so good. So, although I look still very young and beautiful.
Definitely.
I'm 54 years old. So, we get, as we get older, we got to change our eating habits. So my go-to food now is eating a lot of vegetables and tofu. Got to eat vegetables. So I'm encouraging everybody out there, who's out there who's listening, take care of your bodies, you know,
Definitely.
eat healthy, work out. That's something I'm not very disciplined in. I got to get mentally disciplined to exercise more, hit the gym. I used to dance all the time. My go-to exercise is dancing,
Yeah.
right? And when I was performing all the time, I was like break dancing, hip hop dance, moving, grooving.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that doesn't happen as often. So, yeah. So again, my go-to food is now, you know, it used to be like I would eat any and everything. My go-to food is yard food. Me love me Jamaican food. You know what I'm saying? I love me rice and peas and me oxtail and me chicken and me jerk chicken and me not oxtail, a hack's tail. You know what I mean? That's my go-to food, but I got to put that aside now and do better. What about you? What's your go-to food?
Well, for me, like you were saying, like the health thing too. Like, man, I had a health scare,
Okay.
at the beginning of the year. Well, it was a little while before that, but for this year, I'm actually down 40 pounds right now. From like,
Congratulations, man. Good for you, bro.
yeah.
Good for you, man.
For me, like I love mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
Like mac and cheese was like the reason why I got all this right here. But like it's getting down. But like for me too, like I've cut back on that, and I have meat like chicken and like beef that's kind of like for the healthy stuff now.
Uh-huh.
I don't put a lot of like crap on it. Chicken breast, and then I do fruits and vegetables as well. Like,
Yes. Good.
like
Good.
I definitely have been on that kick, and like I'll have for me for keeping my energy up and everything like that. I'll have my meats early in the day,
Okay.
and then to kind of like maintain so I don't get like too hungry like later on.
Yeah.
That'll be the fruits and vegetables and stuff like that.
Good. And do you eat snacks in between? Like
No,
no? Okay.
no.
Because for me, I'm trying to eat smaller portions and then but have snacks, but the snacks I'm going to are eating a lot of almonds and walnuts.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. That's definitely some good stuff as well.
yeah.
But yeah, like for early in the day when I'm trying to get my energy up, it's chicken and beef and not cooked with a lot of grease or anything like that, or just like
Good.
just like chicken breast and just kind of like um and just cooked right, so it's not it's not bad. But then yeah, like to maintain later on, so like and like after about I work afternoon shift at my work, so
Yeah.
I'll have my last break at 7:30, and after that I try not to eat until breakfast.
Good. 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 And that's the thing. I try not to eat past 8 o'clock. I don't want to eat past it. But if I get hungry after 8 o'clock, again, my habit has been to eat fruit, but I got to cut that out and try to get to almonds. My sister's on here, my beautiful younger sister, Patricia. She says here, I love my ackee and saltfish with 4 dumpling. I true. I love me ackee and saltfish, 4 dumpling, cassava, yam and potato and them thing there, and drink soursop juice and go on them way there, you know. But
Oh,
after
I remember at times like man like when I was like really on my like man I love food, like I'd order a burger at one place, and then when I'm waiting for my burger I'd go to the place next door and get a slice of pizza.
oh man, that's crazy. I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever done that before.
I'm definitely a foodie, but I'm trying to cut back. I'm trying to cut back.
Good for you, man. I'm proud of you, man. Good for you taking
Yeah,
control of your health now. And it's so important in
and,
these days and times, man.
and I'm down 40 pounds. I'm down 40 pounds,
Congratulations,
and
man.
yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
I was up 252 and I went to see a doctor the other day and I'm down to 241. My goal is between 235 and 240 and to be in the gym like so, you know, I walk a lot, but I got
Yeah,
to do more than just walking now. I got to I gotta be in the exercise. I gotta get my blood moving, my heart rate higher, getting it
Got the dancing
stronger,
going.
putting on some muscle. I don't got a 6-pack anymore. I got a keg, or I got I got a 1-pack. So,
Yeah.
it's good, and it feels good when we get in shape. Getting good rest at night is important.
And another thing for exercise, like I was going on walks for a while, and I try and go different ways, so like I'd see different scenery and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it keep my mind. And but like another thing for exercising that like I found you have to find things that are fun for you. Like
Yeah.
I don't a lot more basketball.
Oh,
Like
I love basketball. I used to play
like
basketball all the time.
for me like going to the gym and like lifting weights and kind of like doing the same kind of like routines.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm doing it for a little bit, but
Yep.
I'll get bored. So like I
Yep.
need to find activities that I have fun with, like basketball.
Yeah.
Walking different paths and seeing different scenery and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It's true, man. Like going for walks in nature is beautiful, man.
oh, it's beautiful. Yeah,
Going for
it's
walks, going for runs in nature, it's beautiful, man.
it's the exercise, but it's also like it clears your mind. Like
Yeah.
man, like me, when I used to really let some things that really get to me, and I really be depressed.
Yeah.
I go on a walk. I see the scenery. It would
Yep.
just clear me.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you, bro.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, like I definitely want to thank you for everything you've done in like Canadian music.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm so grateful, brother. Thank you, Glenn. Eddie G. I'm gonna shout out to Eddie G, man. I'm gonna let everybody know to check out and support Eddie G TV, man. So
And I want to let you know, like I'm doing my show for years, but about a year and a half ago, I started numbering them.
okay.
And this one right here,
Yeah.
this one right here is number 100.
Wow. This is your 100th show.
This one right here.
Thank you.
Like
And congratulations, man.
and then for somebody that's like done a lot for Canadian music and and has a lot of respect for it, you are the right person to be on number 100.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Much
Awesome.
love, brother. Much love to you, man, and your family, man.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah. So have a good night.
You too.
And
we'll stay connected, man.
It's getting late, and you don't want to have any food until the morning.
Exactly. No more. I'm done.
Late.
I'm done eating for the night. I'm done. And I want to say, if you don't mind me sharing that, I'm going to ask people to please support artists from Kanata, Black music coming out of Kanata, and support Indigenous music, Indigenous art, Indigenous culture. And I want to say this, that I know this weekend is the so-called Thanksgiving, and I'm going to actually do my own IG and Facebook Live and speak about it. I'm going to say, for people who are really for truth and reconciliation, if you're for real truth and reconciliation, do not partake in this Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving was founded on the genocide of the indigenous people. And so I do not and will not ever partake and celebrate this Thanksgiving, because what we've been taught is that, the Pilgrims came to North America, which is Turtle Island. That's what it is. That's what this land we are on is, Turtle Island. And thanks to the Sky Woman, I just was reading about the story of the Sky Woman yesterday, the abbreviated version of it. Anyways, I was learning about it last night on the course, and there's just so much to learn. But the history of Thanksgiving I've known for a number of years, and I've not spoken. I've talked about it, but I've not been as outspoken. But ever since, especially this past year, with finding the gravestones of children that were murdered by the residential schools, and to me it's like people cannot be for truth and reconciliation, knowing what the indigenous people have gone through, are still going through, and then still say Happy Thanksgiving. Fuck their Thanksgiving. That's what I say.
Yeah,
Fuck
definitely.
them. Fuck them and their Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of fucking lies. And I get infuriated that people want to say Happy Thanksgiving and talking about, oh, we are not racist. You're damn a fucking racist. If you're going to continue carrying on in this Thanksgiving bullshit and knowing that you are celebrating the genocide and giving thanks for the genocide of indigenous people, you are full of shit. And I say that to, I don't care what race you are from, if you take part in this culture, in this bullshit celebration, to me, that speaks to who you are as far as I'm concerned. Learn your history. Do not follow white, supremacist, racist, whitewashed, lying narratives and stories about history. Learn indigenous history and learn the truth. And when you learn the truth, that is truth and reconciliation. Real truth and reconciliation is not engaging in this bullshit called Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and all this other bullshit they call based on white Christianity and white history. I'm saying it, and I don't give a damn, because I speak truth, and I stand up for people. I stand up for black people. I stand up for indigenous people, and I stand up and I speak up for people who those of us who continue to face daily oppression. And I don't give a damn who doesn't like it or who feels offended by it, because when they are oppressing us, they don't give a damn about us. In the words of Michael Jackson, all I really want to say, they don't really care about us. Peace.
Peace.
And I also want to say, so please support black music. I got a new single coming out October 20th. This is going to be for all. Now, this song is going to be for love. This is going to be passion. The song is called Escrava de Tur Amore. It's a Brazilian Portuguese spoken word song featuring Envy and Pablo. I'll be shooting a music video for it. I'm going to be releasing a lyrical video, a lyric video, and then the official music video. But the single comes out October 20th. It's a very beautiful song, and the song is basically about a woman telling her partner what she wants her partner to do to her. It's erotic, it's sensual, but it's not dirty. It's not, I want you to bang me, fuck me, none of that. No, I'm not into that. It's about sensuality, eroticism, passion. That's what it's about. So coming out October 20th, and I hope everybody will like it. Eddie G, peace to you, my brother.
It's nighttime. I'm going to put my sunglasses back on.
Put your sunglasses at night. So I can watch you even because storyline. Yeah, man.
All right. Definitely. You have a great night. And it was definitely a pleasure. It's definitely a pleasure having you on. And you did a lot of back there, too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
All right. Peace.